everyone, and welcome to my podcast Raw in Wonderland. I'm so happy you're here with me today. In this episode, we're having a cup of coffee with one of the most fascinating and also grumpiest philosophers of all time, Arthur Schopenhauer. Known for his deep pessimism, sharp wit, and love for solitude, Schopenhauer had quite a unique view of life. But what can we learn from him today? And how does a man who saw life as full of suffering still manage to inspire us? Let's find out together. Arthur Schopenhauer was not a man of small opinions. He believed that life was fundamentally about suffering. He argued that our desires create endless dissatisfaction, like we want something, then we get it, and soon we crave for something new. A never ending cycle of wanting and suffering. But if we were sitting across from Schopenhauer with our coffee, I would ask him, Arthur, if life is suffering, then what's the solution? And he would probably reply with something like, detach yourself from worldly desires, seek solitude, and immerse yourself in art, philosophy, and music. Schopenhauer himself lived by this principle. He was a minimalist. He never indulged in unnecessary luxuries, lived in small rented apartments, and avoided social obligations. He truly believed that less is more, a lesson that aligns well with the modern minimalist movement. Schopenhauer was, let's say, difficult. He was known for his arrogance and sharp tongue. He despised Hegel, another famous philosopher of his time, and even intentionally scheduled his lectures at the same time as Hegel's, hoping to steal students away. But well, only a handful of students showed up for his classes. The rest preferred Hegel. This bruised Schopenhauer's ego, and he spent the rest of his life mocking the university system and intellectual trends. He also had a famous feud with his neighbor Caroline. She was a social woman who enjoyed chatting with friends, but Schopenhauer, a lover of silence, hated the noise. One day, he physically pushed her away in frustration. She sued him, and after a long 6-year trial, Schopenhauer was forced to pay her compensation until the day she died. When she eventually passed away, Schopenhauer allegedly wrote in his notes, "Finally, she is gone." Charming, isn't he? But despite his grumpiness, Schopenhauer had some surprisingly profound thoughts about compassion. Schopenhauer, despite his misanthropy, deeply valued kindness toward animals. He believed that how we treat animals is a reflection of our moral character. He once said, anyone who is cruel to animals cannot be a good person, which I agree. This was quite radical for his time. He criticized human superiority over animals and advocated for animal rights before it became a movement. He also loved dogs. His own dog, Atman, was his closest companion. Perhaps deep down, Schopenhauer was just a misunderstood soul who preferred the company of animals over humans. One of the most interesting aspects of Schopenhauer's life was his financial independence. After years of tension with his mother, who was a famous writer herself, Schopenhauer inherited money from his father. But instead of living extravagantly, he created a lifelong budget plan. He calculated how much he needed to live with ease, and he managed his expenses strictly so he never had to work under someone else's authority. He believed financial independence was key to intellectual freedom. Think about it. How often do we feel trapped by financial worries? Schopenhauer's life teaches us that financial stability can give us the freedom to focus on what truly matters. Now, let's go back to my coffee question. Arthur, if life is full of suffering, How do we find peace? His answer: art, music, and philosophy, maybe plus animals. Schopenhauer believed that the only escape from the cycle of suffering was through deep contemplation, enjoying music, and detaching from material desires. He found peace in Beethoven's symphonies, in books, and in his solitary walks. So perhaps the lesson we can take from Schopenhauer is this: we don't have to be as pessimistic as he was, but we can learn to detach from unnecessary worries, prioritize intellectual and artistic pursuits, and, if needed, enjoy some solitude with a book and a cup of coffee. So, as we finish our coffee with Schopenhauer, I invite you to reflect. How much of our happiness is tied to external things? Could we embrace a bit of minimalism and solitude to improve our lives? And what role does art, music, or philosophy play in our daily routine? Maybe we don't have to go 100% Schopenhauer, but a little bit of his wisdom might help us navigate modern life more meaningfully. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and don't push your neighbors. Bye, guys!